Mr. Chair.
We're recording? All right, good morning. Welcome to the March 20th, 2024 Park and Tree Committee meeting. We started off by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Goodness.
I don't know why I'm halfway through the thing and I start to worry I'm going to forget the words.
Is that possible?
I don't think so.
Well, if that's the case, then the rest of us is whipping it.
Yeah. All right, Diane, can we conduct a roll call?
Committee member Matthew Bechtel,
Present.
committee member Lena Tucker,
Present.
committee chair Wally Shreves,
Present.
committee member Bob Dalton,
Present.
and committee member Nancy will be in later, and committee member Deborah Sue will be joining us remotely.
Great. Thank you. Say again? Yes.
Vacancy.
And time reports, if you have any, please get them to Diane. I'm going to make a note here. Is I owe 2 for the committee. Okay, public comment. There's somebody online who'd like to make a comment or somebody hiding in the hallway. Okay, I think we're good with public comments. City Hall Park. You have some great news on it, Blair?
No, I don't. I was hoping I would, but I won't. The next steps are we do have a donor that is funding quite a bit of it. I have not had any updates on where that funding is or equipment that will be donated. So that's kind of just still waiting on the donor.
Right.
Our engineering tech Levi has been working on some alternatives to look at with some renderings of what things would look like, on the ground, depending on where the Dahlenberg Bridge is placed.
Mhm.
Doing that mainly to make sure that we have a fairly good idea of what we're looking at, and what how that would impact sight lines at various places on the property, so that we can make sure that we are choosing the best option for
Yeah.
our parks. But that is still work that's in progress and not done yet. So we're moving forward. We just don't have anything tangible to present to you,
Okay. No worries.
but we will keep on working on it.
Yes.
Question. Was the donor focused on kind of the dog park aspect or just general?
Both, the donor was, from what I've been told, the donor was interested in providing a playground as well as some landscaping and flower bed areas, and the dog park.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of all of that together.
Oh,
So
nice.
That would be great.
Yeah.
the dog park will probably be the cheapest part of it.
Yeah.
It's just fencing.
Yep.
We've already got one side of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Because I understand we have to remove some trees back there for the dog park
Okay.
area. Has anybody ever talked to the tree company to see if they'd be willing to do that?
I don't think we've discussed any actual contractor that would be hired for it.
Yeah.
Mainly because of that, like I mentioned, that the renderings we're trying to produce and make sure that
Yeah.
we know which ones to take out. And we know there are some that are going to come out no matter what.
Yeah.
But we haven't moved forward with anyone specifically on that.
Yeah. I just wondered if the group still park back here.
That's the group parked back, that's right, tree service, and
Yeah.
they're hired by Pacific Power to do work along all the power lines.
Okay,
And they've worked out that deal to park their trucks back there. I'm sure they could do some stuff. Their work though is focused on trimming and specifically trimming away from power lines. I'm sure they could handle removal as well, but
yeah,
I don't think they do any stump grinding or any of that level.
yeah. I just wondered if they might propose a economical option since they're,
Some in kind or some donations of services to
Yeah.
compensate for. Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Well, I'll talk to the city manager about that.
okay. All right, Ivy Pull at Sankey Park. Dominic and Greg are both in a meeting. I've talked to Dominic. They've just been swamped and he said that he's gonna get it on Sean's, he's got it on Sean's list to do, but they have to have time to be able to get in there and do it. And with all the work they've been doing still from the ice storm, picking up stuff, road repairs and everything else, they've been just overwhelmed. So he said they're also behind in mowing in the other parks and they're trying to get everything done. So they're just busy. So that's the information I have on it. I don't want to plan another cut until we get the roots out of where it's at now. Deb did note there's dead trees back there now. I don't know if they're dead from the ivy or what they're dead from, but they should probably come out before but they're not
They're
big
not
trees.
Dangerous.
Yeah, well, they're not big trees. They're just trees that need to come out of the way. So,
Okay.
and it will help with the pathways as we continue to work towards tying in South Hills Trail to the park.
Mhm.
So, anybody got anything else on the Ivy Pull? That was my couple weeks work at figuring it out. Yep. Okay. New business, cut the gut checkpoint at Sankey Park.
What's that?
So are you all familiar with Cut the Gut? You've probably heard of it at least.
Heard of it?
So the way it operates is there's different businesses throughout town sponsor a checkpoint, and so it's kind of a distributed event where when you show up, if you want to participate in it and you're a car owner or you just want to drive through, you get a passport that from the Chamber of Commerce, and it has different places to check off, and you go and visit the different locations, and each location will have some kind of either swag that they give away or some kind of game or contest or something that they do when at that location. Number of businesses do it: O&M Tire, Les Schwab, etc. The city hall has hosted a checkpoint that a local car club asked to use our space in front, and we worked out a deal, and so there was a checkpoint here at City Hall. The chamber has suggested that we have a checkpoint at Sankey Park to make it to add to the event, but also bring outside attention to the park. Cut the Gut tends to have a lot of local participation, but it also has a lot of participation from folks further out and further away, especially car nuts and people who are interested in showing off their ride and that kind of thing. Especially when it comes to, I mean, it's popular for taking pictures of really cool cars and things that people have worked really hard on, and a picturesque location like Sankey Park with the plaza we have and the parking lot right there next to the Weddell Bridge, could be a really appealing checkpoint. So it's one of those things where Legia reached out to me, Legia at the chamber mentioned it to me, and it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, why didn't we ever think about that before? Never really did. But it's also, it could be an opportunity to advertise some of the committee's efforts, advertise our parks, advertise our needs for donations, and various things like that to kind of both add to the event, but we would get something out of it too.
Yeah.
So I guess the main question is this something that the committee is interested in participating in? I don't have a lot more information than what I just shared. I'm sure there's more to it.
Yeah,
And we'd probably want to interface more with the chamber on it. And determine exactly what kind of event we would want to hold. But
You know,
and it does come at a rather busy time
Oh.
for staff, and so we certainly would need the committee to take point.
So
Yeah.
the event.
Friday, what day, Blair?
It's usually
Oh,
a
it's
Friday, and it's usually associated around the timing of Sportsman's Holiday.
so around the
Yeah,
1st of July?
Let me see if and I bet you the chamber has the date on there. Let me pull up their website.
Hello? Well, the
Public
history,
service.
Mr. Mayor, I'm mayor.
I resign.
The history of Cut the Gut is when I was in school, I didn't have a car, but after the football game on Friday, you would go down to 18th Avenue. You could make a U-turn. Was
Oh, yeah.
you remember who was the I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, you go down there, you cut the gut, you go down to NW, you turn around and go the other way, and you
Oh.
do that as many times, and you maybe end up at Safeway with all
Yep.
the cars, and that's what it was all about. The only thing I would have a question about the park thing is it's way off the main street. Not way off, but it might be a little more difficult for them to find, but I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's
And if
Friday.
you've never been there, you should go and watch it. There's hundreds of cars.
I've heard about it. I've
Hundreds.
never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Friday, July 12th,
July 12th.
6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah, it is a little unusual to have it off of Main, but the way I see it, if we have, I think the picturesque background, if we have a photo op, for
Yeah.
folks to get the picture of their ride with
With
Weather
the-
Bridge in the background
Yeah.
kind of idea, I think something like that could be enough to draw people off, and we could do some other things to make it worth a while.
So
That makes
really,
sense.
we would just basically have our standard booth with information and park stuff.
And it could be a little bit more than that with, if we want to either have any swag or materials that we want to distribute to people, or if we want to have any kind of game or contest or something associated with it. Overall, when it comes to with the larger event, the chamber does have like judges and things that people can enter their car into various contests and such. So there's a we could do our own thing for that checkpoint of, but it's something that we want to talk to more with the chamber about what they've seen that works really well and what the ideas they might have that could draw people. Because just because you hold it doesn't mean people are going to show up. We could get in on the passport, and the diehards who want to fill in every box in their passport are going to come through and get their check box. But there's no guarantee that the bigger crowds are going to come through. In fact, I think in previous years they ran out of passports, and because they've had a lot more attendance than expected. So,
Right.
I mean, that's a good thing. It's a growing event.
Well, the thing I don't like about the whole thing is this thing that all those cars are in back are Chrysler products. Jeez. And there's a bunch of, remember Tommy, I can't remember his last name, but Tommy, he has a
Toxic
what-
Mopar.
yeah, and there's a lot of them back there. A
Yeah,
lot. So it's you ought to come and watch it.
I just
you
realized,
got to be there for an hour. And
Yeah.
The event overall is brand agnostic.
Yeah.
So.
It's
Where does the name come from? It sounds like a weight loss
That's
event.
one of those things where I've asked locals. Do you know where the name comes from?
Cut the
I-
gut, man. When I was in high school, it was still cut the gut.
yeah.
I guess
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
right, but do you know why it's called
No,
that?
I don't know why.
Like it's hard to. I haven't found a definitive answer. My guess my only guess was thinking, if you think of Sweet Home as a fish and you're
It's the gut of sweet.
splicing along the
Might be,
bottom of
might be
the
for
gut. I don't know.
somebody that said that because, they, might have,
Possible.
I don't know what it is. I didn't have a car, so I wouldn't have any idea about that.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Honestly, it's one of those things where I haven't had a good answer, and I want to tell the chamber, you better make something up so that you can just tell people. And
It's just, the only thing that's different now versus when I was doing it was we didn't have the amount of cars on that main drag.
That's exactly right.
You know, because now it's really busy because
Yeah.
my wife and I, we've been there the last few years and it gets pretty goofy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and traffic has been
It's
a lot slower on.
it's a lot slower.
Friday.
People do a good job.
Yeah.
You know, last year, I think there was a couple guys on motorcycles that were a little,
Oh,
Well,
Out
there
there
was a
that-
couple of cars that were knuckleheads too.
but overall,
But largely, yeah, people have been fairly
Oh, yeah.
nice to each other, which is good.
Yeah.
the problem with my wife is she sits there. In other words, she wants him to run the
Yeah.
tires a little.
Oh.
And back then you did, you stopped, you
absolutely.
held the traffic back and you got your gap and you went ahead and lit them up a
We
little
had a
bit.
little place where they would go burn their tires off
Yeah.
at O&M and they had to quit
Yeah.
because of the
Liability.
insurance. And then they had an accident down there off of 18th Avenue.
Yeah.
Because some people are, I'm sorry to tell you, some of them are not very smart about what they're doing.
One of the benefits of this type of event is that each location handles their own rules,
Yeah.
their own liability, et cetera. And so if you have something bad happen at one event, it's the responsibility of that business or property owner.
Yeah, but Dave, the
to not-
quarter mile hit was in front of the mill, if you remember.
Yes, yeah.
That was our quarter mile distance
That's exactly right.
to drag race.
Yeah.
Not that I ever did that.
Of course you didn't.
I could tell you a story about when I was up at Cascadia. There was a long straight stretch there, and our chief here, he found out that they were going to have a drag race there. He had the county gravel the road. That's enough. of
That would
Okay,
change it, yeah.
that's good.
Anyway, so I guess the main question is this something that the committee would like to pursue? And should we, get more information from the chamber on suggestions for how to run the event and so forth?
Yeah, so two things. I like the idea of it because I think it's something we could promote, things that we're doing in the park and people would see it. I think that's a good thing. Before I go and promote it too far, I'm just going to say I physically won't be in the state on July 12th. So before I go and make a motion of something, not motion, but my idea is I can't support it, even though it's irritating because it's like the first year I could have put something in it, but
And for me, it's my wife's class reunion and it's cut the guts part of the event and then. So I mean, that kind of ties my hands somewhat, so.
so you're in.
I might be in a car going up and down, cut the guy.
Yeah.
I think I'm available.
I'm available.
Okay. So I think as long as we at least have a couple and
I think Deborah is on the phone.
I hear some crackling over there.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
My guess is that Nancy would be into
Yeah.
it, but I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
for sure.
unless she's running something, she would.
Yeah.
I think
support it
she
as well.
does. Or I'm not sure, but I think she does.
Yeah. So I'll stop and I'll stop and talk to Legia and just see what her thoughts are.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that to the next meeting.
Yeah, I recommend you
Yeah.
all do that. Explore it a little bit. Talk to some folks who have done an event or a
I
checkpoint.
think to Dave's point, the only drawback is it's off the main drag and people's gonna take detour.
Well,
with
then you're gonna
people.
have to
on the
show them how to get there. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that don't live in Sweet Home.
Yeah.
They had thousands.
I was thinking we should do it at Northside. Maybe they'd fix the road then in front of the park before it, but
You think
Would be
maybe-
great is if we could get a partner that did, that was like selling food or something like that.
Yeah.
If there was a food truck or something to add to, hey, stop for a bite and enjoy the park on a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
While you take a break from the traffic.
Keeps mine out here.
yeah. And it's a quieter place too, I'll bet. I mean, than everybody driving in front, those that rotate through there would be enjoyable and quieter and
Okay, well, we'll see about getting some more information and.
Okay, have you asked Legia the actual question of why they call it cut the gut?
She wouldn't know.
I've asked her, I've asked, like any of the people who've been born and raised here that, you know, that are associated with the chamber, Carla Hogan and others. I haven't got.
I'll start asking. She got any
definitive answer.
I'll start asking about the individual folks.
I could be asking the wrong people, I guess, but
Yeah, I'll,
There seems to
some of
be.
the guys I used to be with in school, I'll do that. Also, if we're gonna do that at the park, I have about 100 little flags that we can give away.
Okay,
I got them for a 9/11 thing and it didn't work out. So,
Oh.
But anyway,
okay.
so I'll give you those. And the guy at Home Depot gave that to me,
Oh,
the whole box, big box. But anyway, I'll
Right.
give those to you guys and that'd be fun, one thing, but
okay. So, Arbor Day.
before you move
Oh.
on, did we actually have approval of the minutes?
no, we didn't.
I had that.
No.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, I
wanted
was-
to- that seemed to have gotten skipped, so.
I was just cruising.
See, it's on mine.
Oh. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna put it in here right after our new business. So, well, it's because we're in it already. So Arbor Day. So I got the first one answered. Get the tree. Yes. And do you know locations yet?
Yes.
Okay.
We went there on Monday afternoon, met with Dominic and Deb, and as you go into the plaza on the right side, we have all our flowering cherries,
Mhm.
and then the dogwoods, which flower later, they're all white. On the north side of the playground, you still have another row of flowering cherries, again, all white. The flowering plum, that was kind of part of our Ames Creek project recognition. That one got destroyed in the ice storm, so it's gone. So we don't really have any pops of color by the bridge or kind of north of the plaza. And so talked to Deb, showed some pictures of flowering dogwoods that are pink. So we get a different type of color than our all white. Kind of over there, would be west of the bridge, north of the plaza. There's some benches, a picnic table, and there's enough open space to have,
Mhm.
something with
Yeah.
some color.
Okay.
And so this would be our Arbor Day tree, recognition tree, celebration tree for Molly. And we can put the plaque together to kind of do that. Other ideas out there, thinking the car cruise and just looking at color, looking at replacing our flowering plum, is we could actually have 2 flowering trees kind of at the entrance of the bridge, kind of framing the bridge. I think probably down the road, once we figure out what bridge renovation looks like, so we're
Yeah.
gonna destroy them, but, and we'd have to get the stump out of the old flowering plum spot anyway.
Right.
But so there's some opportunity to do some additional tree events recognition there, probably associated with the bridge.
Right.
We also have the Carol Lewis tree, which is back by the Girl Scout hut. And I just want to see what it looks like when it starts budding and leafing out. It's a maple. I think it's in the shade too much. So we might have to replace it eventually. But I want to see what it looks like when it starts leafing out this spring. Other than that, the cherry trees are in full bloom, except for one. And it's not dead, it's just a late bloomer. It's really weird. We have all those cherries are the same variety except for one, which is by Alice's Bench. And I think we did that on purpose, a different variety. So it's a little later than the others.
Every family's got one.
It's, I was looking at my inventory going, why, what? Okay, it's just a different variety. And then the dogwoods will come on after the cherries are done.
Right.
So looks beautiful there. We don't have a stumpy tree like Washington, DC.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
It's one of their old cherry trees. It's getting kind of flooded out by the salt water and
tidal basin
the
there.
tidal basin. And it's literally a stump with one branch. And it just looks so sad, but the one branch is in full bloom.
It's doing its best.
It's trying. And I guess it's its last year before they put it out of its misery. And then they're gonna raise the seawall by the tidal basin and replant cherries.
So the purchase of the trees were stated before the meeting. Could I get for the record, could I get the trees that are going to be purchased?
So this time, I'm gonna recommend one pink flowering dogwood.
Okay.
And I need to call Blue Heron and see, we have a few variety choices. So I just need to see what they have left. It's gonna be about 120. And then at the same time, our swag, our normal swag for kids, pencils, the little plastic frisbees, I can get those ordered too. The Arbor Day Foundation doesn't have any great stickers or anything anymore, so I don't.
Good.
I haven't been able to find any. We used to have a whole bunch. We've used them up. It just says plant a tree or something like that. So I can't really find any Arbor Day themed things, but I'll keep looking.
And our swag bundle is almost empty.
I think we have some pencils left, so which is good. In 1 year, because I made the order this time last year and we went through all of our events and had plenty.
Well, and I don't recall that being a very large amount
It
either.
wasn't, it really wasn't.
I say go ahead with it and I'll make sure it gets
Yeah.
budgeted. Please.
Okay.
And the other question I have is the maps. Do you know if we have still a plenty? It seemed like we were low on maps, the city park maps.
There should be some in the tote and there's some that aren't folded.
Okay,
So I think we'll have plenty for the event. I'll get in the tote and take
Okay.
a look.
Let us know if we need more.
Yeah.
and we can
Okay.
get more
Just a
printed.
matter of printing. I think we have a whole bunch that are unfolded.
so if you're gonna get, we could use some of those frisbees for the kids frisbee golf thing.
We could, but I think the Whammo type frisbees would be better. If
Wham.
Bob can get a donation of hard frisbees.
How many
From
do we need,
Samaritan.
you know?
20.
I was gonna say 25, but yeah.
I meant 25.
Yeah.
You know, round up. Make it 30.
Because I think for actually trying to
Oh.
hit a target, I think the hard sided ones are better than the little plastic.
Flex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys.
And just so it's on record on the meeting, we're gonna make a sweet home version of frisbee golf using wheelbarrows, large barrels, with a post beside it. I have T-pickets. We can pop a T-picket in so you have a target to hit and it drops in the barrel, and something that we can put in and remove right afterwards. But it'll be we've been talking about putting a frisbee golf in the park for years now. So we're probably only 2 years away from actually doing it. So this would be a good temporary test. And we'll put it in, we'll draw it out, we'll go out a day beforehand and figure out, just how long it takes to throw a frisbee in general, non-professionals. And generally lay it out with a few flags, and then come in that morning and put out wheelbarrows and large barrels, and we'll have a little map for them to go from with their par. And we'll see how kids do and adults, because it's not just, I don't want to call it a kids frisbee golf, because it's something that I have participated in other parks with the one frisbee we have, and it was fun.
Call it introductory frisbee golf
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
Newbie.
Yep.
Mhm.
Newbie frisbee.
With
Yep.
big targets. So, I mean, the theory of being less frustrating maybe for little ones,
Right.
can actually get something in a bucket.
Yep.
In the hoops.
Ooh, oops.
Yeah.
So if you have interesting yard decorations like old wine barrels or, cloth at bathtub.
I mean,
Tires you want to get rid of.
There's some rusty ones I see on the side of the road in some neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Just.
It's questionable whether they're decorative or just trash.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even like kind of the galvanized steel, you know, buckets that you put your drinks in and ice and stuff, you know, something like that.
So we talked to the mayor and she, if she remembers, which I'm sure she will, she agreed to come down and do the proclamation with us at the park and give a little presentation. So that's taken care of. Nancy and I are going to provide some food and snacks. I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of hot dogs, ketchup, mustard, and buns, and we'll use crock pots, throw them in. And she's bringing drinks and some kind of a sweet thing. So. And then the only other thing we have to do is advertise it.
Up with that.
Okay. And probably people aren't going to remember it. So we probably only need to start a couple weeks out, putting it out and get the information out there. Yeah.
And we've done this before and put out, so we'll probably tweak some of the previous
Yeah.
years' communications. and put
Right.
those
Yep.
Out again.
Yeah. And I'll send the information when I get with Nancy, what we're providing, because that's always a draw.
Yep.
People think they can come there and get a hot dog. That's,
As soon as we can get that, we can get the communications.
Yeah.
Together.
Free plants. Got plants
oh yeah.
to give away. And I can't remember, is this our 36th year being Tree City, USA? Angela, would know.
We're in the 30s easily.
I know we're in the
Yeah.
30s, so which
Yeah.
is a big deal.
Yep. And well, I'll try to get you all this information quickly. It'd probably be something good to get the New Era to post something about it, that it's coming out, and they probably need to start on it next week if it's actually going to come out before, be in the paper before Arbor Day.
Mhm.
Because I know their printing is, everything's extended, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need to target a specific issue and make sure we have everything
Yeah,
to the newspaper. So
yep.
So I think Deb asked, it's April 20th is our event. And what time were we going to do this, Wally?
2:00.
2:00 on April 20th.
Yep.
So will you want it probably in the paper on the 17th, the Wednesday edition right before?
Yeah, to be able to come out then, yeah, because otherwise people won't know it.
Okay.
I was just gonna look and make sure. Go ahead.
Deborah, did Angela contact you about a plaque? Okay. Well, I was just working with her on the plaque and wanted to make sure she had followed up with you to see how the wording needed to be on that plaque, so. Yeah, and I'll follow up with her some too.
Just make sure they get the word.
Yeah, go ahead, say that again. Right. And probably, I'm guessing maybe something short, not really too long. I mean, a lot of them that I've seen in the park are just like in memory of, and then there's a person's name and maybe the date. And that's about really what most of them have.
Yes. Yep, we have one that looks just like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll just follow up with her to make sure we're on track for that. You bet.
Okay, so I think we're fairly well set for Arbor Day.
Do we have another meeting before?
We do. The Wednesday before Arbor Day. So any last minute items we can tie up then.
Could we maybe go map our course and talk about it after the meeting?
We could. Okay. Moving on to the third to the last thing on our agenda. Park and Tree Committee member opening. So did you talk to,
The previous
Yes.
occupant? I don't know. I did not personally talk to him. I don't think there's been difficult to get adequate communication.
okay,
So, but we are moving forward. We have a vacancy.
yeah,
And I believe we've advertised it.
I saw it come out.
Yeah. So, we will keep plugging that. If any of you know of someone we should reach out to that would be a good candidate, please let me know. Well, I have no problem calling people out of the blue and saying, hey, put in an application.
Sure.
Love to have you. So, yes, so we were moving forward with that, trying to fill that opening, and appreciate everybody. Tell your friends.
Sure. So do we still do I can't think of the right word. I'll just make up my own then. The interrogation of the person when they start
Interview.
So
interview.
when
Thank you.
someone puts in an application, they are scheduled for an interview with the admin and finance committee, which is made up of 3 of our city council.
Yep.
And I don't, who's on that committee?
Josh.
Thorstead. Mhm. And so, if you recall being interrogated, we will speak to them about maybe softening the approach. Not intended to be an interrogation.
Well, we still get some people that, are
Yeah.
iffy. But we put him in there anyway, because he was the only guy left. Are you gonna pay attention there, Mr. Dalton?
I'm just, I'm listening, writing down everything you're saying.
Shoot.
Anyway, so yeah, so once they're based on that interview, that committee then makes a recommendation to the city council, and the city council typically follows the recommendation and makes the appointment.
Sure. So for whatever it's worth, for 6 years now, I've been asking this. I would like to, as the chair and the person that works with those people, I would sincerely like to be part of the interview. I don't care if I vote. I'd just like to be able to view my opinion before they just show up and I don't know who they are, anything about them, or have any idea. And specifically for myself, even to this day, from ATI, I still get resumes sent to me by the president and vice president out there to view these people before they hire them in the senior positions. So it's something that I have a knack at, and I think I could have made some points on a couple previous ones that I saw through instantly. So
Okay.
I'd just like to be a part of the actual thing because I end up working with these people afterwards.
Yeah. Well, the committee meetings are open to the public, are they not? And so I see no reason why you couldn't at least be present, and we can certainly let you know when those are coming. As for speaking at those committee meetings, that is up to the committee. It's not staff that runs them.
I don't want to speak at it. I just, when they're going to vote, they're going to do an interview and then they're going to send the person out.
Right.
And then they're going to talk about it. And that's when I just like to be able to say, hey, I'm sure Dave would ask me, what do you think?
We could probably facilitate that. I
Yeah.
don't see anything that would prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
So I will ask the administrative services director schedules those meetings and those interviews, and I
Right.
will just ask her to notify you of the time.
Yeah.
And we can talk to the committee about, how we'd like to have them cooperate and see if they are willing to.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice to kind of have an opportunity to share our thoughts with
Sure.
that. I mean, I know there's lots of times I've seen committees come along and you see the list of applicants and you seize up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because, to be on a committee is a commitment. And you want someone that has kind of the creativity
Yeah.
and a drive and a passion. And sometimes, you want to be an astronaut doesn't mean you're going to be a good astronaut. And,
Fair.
and that's hard, especially when you're trying to get committee members. It's hard enough just to get people to want to be on committee.
Well, and that's part of the thing is sometimes we don't really have a very deep pool of candidates anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you've got nobody and they seem like they could be all right,
Yeah.
you typically the folks are going to be appointed anyway.
Right.
But I'm sure we can facilitate some interaction and some bit more participation from you.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems crazy to be in charge, maybe not in charge, but directing a committee and never see the person.
Yeah.
I met them for the first time when they came to their first meeting,
Well,
and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me.
well, to some degree, that's also government, right? So, I mean, it's not like any of the council choose the other people on the council. So
That's because they're voted in by the city.
sure.
So they don't even have any insight into it and they know already because it comes out in the paper. So,
But I'll see what we can get done. on
Yeah.
that.
okay, thank you. So now that Nancy's here, let's go ahead and review the minutes.
Okay, then we're gonna go.
Yeah, take a moment, look over the previous minutes, make sure they line up. Second page. When you're finished reading, if I can get a motion to approve or corrections that need to be made.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Can we take a vote, please? I think we have to go down. I've been watching the professionals do this.
Oh,
Well, you can do it that way. It doesn't have to be, but
Oh.
it's it's up to you.
It sounded really good when the mayor does it, so.
Sure. Usually, so it can be, it's often time when we want to just, when it's a contentious issue or something,
Yeah.
or if we have a large number of people who are joining remotely. But we will do as you wish.
Matthew,
Aye.
Lena, Bob,
I
Nancy,
yeah.
I approve myself.
And then,
Oh, Deb. Thank you. I keep forgetting you're looking blue today.
she's like AI today.
Yeah. So the meeting minutes are approved. One of the new items, I just cannot forget to talk about this, because I don't think anybody here knows about it. And then the name of it's off. I'm not good with names today. There's a church up on Strawberry Loop. That's way up there, just below the McDonald's house. I was asked to come up, just because I know the people, and talk to them. They wanted to put in a park. I call it a universal park, but it's a park that will provide people with disabilities a place to play.
Okay.
So they're in the very initial stages of it. They just Matt knows that I'm on the Park and Tree Committee, so he just asked me, "Hey, would you just come and listen and tell us if we're, don't let us get outside things." And they did. They were getting way into the weeds when they're just starting to talk about it. But they're just talking about putting in a decent sized park. They have a lot of property there, and they have some people with needs in their yeah. So they'd like to put something like that in. So the very next day I was headed to Portland, and I went to Harper's Park up there, which is not actually in Portland, it's in Vancouver. And I went up and took a look at it because I told him, "Hey, I'm going up anyway. I got time. I'll go take a look." And I went up and took pictures and looked at the different ideas that were there. And my driver for me doing that was 3-4 years ago. We were approached by a community member that wanted a swing for a wheelchair. And so I went and looked. I knew they had one there. So I went and looked at it, and it has been locked up.
It's
I
been
don't-
locked up.
Yeah, it is not usable.
Do you have to make I wonder if it's available to people who reach out to the city or to whoever. runs
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't figure it out. We looked it over really well. I tried every way to get it to work, and
It didn't have any signage or anything.
there was nothing on it that said any. That's what was confusing to me. It's just you can't move it.
Huh.
And well, maybe you can. I couldn't. But yeah, I tried every way I could to make that thing functional, and looked under it, and the bottom, it just looks like somebody's lifted it and put a support mechanism underneath to keep it from actually moving. And when I looked at it, the same problem that we had when we talked about it was it creates a serious pinch point that could not only hurt someone, but could remove digits or possibly a limb. The smaller kid got an arm in there.
As I recall, I remember when we discussed these things, and as I recall, the one that somebody wanted to put in,
Yeah.
and if I remember correctly, they actually had a specific model that they wanted to purchase and give
Yeah.
to the city to go in. But again, this is, my memory could be hazy. As I recall, it was not a commercial model. It was more of a residential model. And there was concern about the
Yeah.
liability of how it would be treated, and also whether other people could get injured. So I know there are commercial versions of
Yeah.
and that one that you saw probably is, but
Oh, it
still-
is.
There's still a concern of how it's going to be, not only who's going to abuse it, but how it, what liability it might. I think that's certainly something we can do. And we've talked about it among staff about getting some ADA swings and other equipment. And I think it's mainly a matter of finding the right one. If we were to have one that we were concerned about, I think there was some discussion of, well, what if we had it locked up and then, we could unlock it at certain times when there's a person there, or someone can come and get the key, and we take their license or something, that there's some kind of collateral that we take,
Right.
so that they can bring the key back after it's been locked, or we check up on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably something that can be done.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out, I found one. That's the first one I physically found, and I got the name of all the equipment that's out there.
Cool.
The company that put it in, I looked at everything. I took a bunch of pictures. Because something I was thinking about down the road. So I wanted to get an idea of what they had. And I'll just say this, they call it, or as I would call it, a universal park where all people could use it.
Mhm.
It didn't appear to me that it fit that well. It was really a park for disabled people to be able to function in and do things in. And I think they did an outstanding job of it. There were two things, was a rock wall climbing thing, which was actually a really neat setup, because it was basically, if you were to take a large chunk of metal and wrap it into a shape, like an artistic shape, and then they attached handholds to it. So you could climb on both sides, and you would get inverted, and you had to climb vertically. And I went, that's an interesting way of looking at it. But something we don't have in the park, I watched a big video on it. We do not have in this park here is any musical instruments for kids. And that's nothing more than the bang on, make some noise, different things like that. 'Cause that's a function that,
They make some different stuff for parks for that though.
Yeah.
There were some really cool ones I saw in over the winter. We were in Idaho, and in Caldwell, there's a city park along the creek that's in
Yeah.
their downtown. And next to it, they have this plaza, and they do an ice skating ribbon in the winter. But in the park portion that's along this creek, they had this one station that had multiple musical instruments they're basically xylophones with the mallets on cables so that you can't steal them, but all the kids are banging away. Some of them were really impressive and musically very pleasant and nice to hear. They were the way they were designed, the harmonics and everything, you basically couldn't play them wrong in a way that was jarring or off-putting or anything. They sounded good no matter who was beating on them. So it was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's some neat stuff out there.
so I wanted to bring that up because I went to that meeting and they're talking about it. We have another meeting in April that different people had different duties and, they're looking at it, what the opportunities are, how they could put that in up there. Oh, I know.
Yeah. So they're planning on a private, I guess their own private park there. It was what they would.
That's,
have, but
they
it would be open to.
open to anyone to use but they have a lot of work to do. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still, like
3 months.
Matt said, he's going to go talk to they don't have to get neighbors' approval. They want to talk to everybody,
Sure.
and they want to do all the right things. So,
That sounds great.
yeah,
Is the church you're referring to Hillside?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say yeah, because that's probably the name, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
no.
Furlon. I don't know why that's the only one I can
Furlon's
think of.
over
to me.
on Holly Road.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably why it's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So anyways, I have all the pictures from it, from the Harper's Park, because I took a look at everything they had there. And the thing I did find interesting, they used some I'll call it AstroTurf. I don't know what it is, green fake grass areas. And it's the exact same thing that they put in at the pump track on the sides of the track. The pump tracks we went and looked at. So something pretty neat for kids a place for kids to roll around and do things. And since it's at an angle, it doesn't hold the water. And so the water runs off. So it doesn't take long for it to be dried out for people to go mess around on it.
Cool.
The park in Roseburg at River Forks Park. And a whole bunch of people in the community have sponsored that, but they have like the rubber matting and they have a swing that goes across. You can sit on it and push each other. It has musical stuff, everything that we're talking about. If anybody ever goes down there, you should go there and see. That's where my mom used to live. But that's a really neat park. So where are you at on the agenda?
We're done. I'm
Cool.
adding in all the stuff. One of the things that they did have there that I think we have all talked about and don't understand why we can't do it, and they have it there, is they actually used wood. I mean, like tree pieces, and they, a little notch here and there and assembled it, and something for kids to walk on and, climb around on. And I think that's important because that's what builds kids' physical abilities to do things. And
Oh, can I ask a question since I'm late?
yeah,
Anyway, I had to have my eyes checked again, darn eyes. No fun getting older. Put that on the record.
yeah, the option's worse.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys talked about it, but I've been very frustrated trying to get money for the community.
It's
Van-
coming.
center.
We haven't got
It's
there.
coming.
That's,
We're gonna
Oh,
talk about
that's
that.
the next thing for us to talk
Oh, the
about.
round
It's not on
table?
the list.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, you said you're already down there. You're done.
Yeah,
so-
but it wasn't on the list, so.
Oh,
I've got some information to present on that too.
okay,
Good.
good. So forget it. I'm not
You
frustrated
will.
yet.
We'll let you go first. Will.
If you want me
Yeah,
to
go
dive
ahead.
into that right now. So
Yeah.
I just have
Sorry.
this is information I got from finance department
Mhm.
Okay.
on what's been received. And so when it comes to donations that are specific to, we have a number of things that are like the pie, some things are in the same account that are not necessarily Sankey Park Phase 3, like the general, we have the landscape materials that the city is selling, and those are kind of general donations.
Are we making any money off of that?
A little bit, not a huge amount, but we got, so we do have the pie bake-off proceeds. Were those going to the bandstands? Was that the?
They were supposed to.
Okay, so we have those, that's about $314, $330. We've received, so on this report, there's about $3,700 that's been donated for the for Sankey Park Phase 3, so for the bandstand. And then there are two more donations that I guess just came in last week that are not on the report, that are two $1,000 donations. So there's 2,000 added on to that. So total of about 5,700.
Okay.
So
He told me that we have until October to meet that.
yeah, and we've talked about that. Essentially, yeah, if we don't have sufficient donations by October, that's when we would have to have the hard decision of whether to shrink the scope. But we have time.
So, okay, so back to my frustration. You know what? If you keep reading everything that people want in our park, they really don't want that. They want the swings, they want the this and this and this and this and this. So my personal feeling is if we can't get this money, why don't we just go with that and add the more swings and whatever? I don't know. It's just, what's everybody smiling? I already talked about this.
No, I'm smiling because I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had the same conversation.
It's very frustrating and it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be this hard, you know,
Yes.
but anything you do for the kids, well, just like I had the bingo thing last night for the free kid store. It's amazing what people will do for kids. It's not that the bandstand or the community, whatever, isn't important. I think it is, but what you hear more is let's get more stuff for the kids in the park.
And city staff have already, I believe, ordered some swing sets to go into
Cool.
Sankey.
Oh.
They're not super expensive, and we've got an area near the existing playground that's been identified, and so we're already moving forward with that portion at least.
Oh, good. Because I talked to Bob about it this morning. Over the last week and a half, I just stumbled into people that have, I'll call them prominent people in the city, that live within or close to it, that have serious funds that we've went to previously. And I told them very clearly, I am not asking for a donation. I'm asking for an opinion. You know, do you support this or not? And predominantly people have told me, no. If you want to put in swing sets, a splash pad, a pump track at the top for the kids, I'm all over that. If you want to put in a covered area for people, you can call it a bandstand, a community center, or, you know, whatever. I don't want to put money into that. I don't support that, which I was surprised because people really threw a fit when the previous bandstand was removed.
Yeah.
And I think that was, as I'm looking back at it now, I think that was just emotion and not anything serious from people. So has anybody else had any conversations with folks that?
Well, the one that I had was they felt we didn't do a good job of selling this thing, advertising it, putting it in the, I don't know what, but they just felt we didn't do a good job of bringing it out from the public's eye to get the public behind it. It was just here and there. That was just their opinion. Like I said,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't.
Well, and that's still ongoing. I mean, if they're talking about selling the public on the
Yeah.
bandstand, that's not over.
And they may look at it from the standpoint that if this is a building to be in a park, this is something the city should be funding and not them, you know.
Everyone to say something.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Deborah.
I think we might have made a mistake when we called it a bandstand instead of an amphitheater. Just my my take on it.
Yeah,
I think
it was amazing. Any talk of the bandstand brought instantaneous hatred and dissent when I talked to people about it.
But yet they were really upset when we tore it down.
Yeah, well, they didn't want to spend a bunch of money for a bunch of drunken old men to sit around and
Right.
listen to some crazy music that they're not interested in. And I got that from 3 different people. Those were the exact words from the 3 different groups talked to separately.
That, Diane.
So I'm not sure how they come up with that thought process, but I'm assuming they're thinking of the Jamboree. That was that was their relation to it.
Well, and I don't think the Jamboree has any interest in using a replacement of the bandstand. My discussions with them, they've been very clear that they're going to bring in their own stage. Any groups that they have, it really, the size needs to be something where it would be specific to their needs, and there doesn't make any sense for the city to build it because there's nobody else is going to use it for that level.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that's what they think of. People think of a bunch of drunk people sitting around watching the Jamboree. They don't want to pay for something like that to happen in our park at different times.
So I was supposed to go talk to Robert, which I was, and I still plan on it, but he's been on a cruise with a bunch of people, so
Robert
Shamik,
Shamrock. Oh,
because I already asked for a meeting with him, because since I know him really well.
So did you two have any interactions that were positive, negative? No?
And I think the Victors are planning on putting in some sort of entertainment venue on the old mill that
Yeah.
they purchased, so I don't think they're interested.
Yep.
But so the other thing is, were you able to talk to the Wells about the bridge?
The Wells.
Me?
No, I'm looking at Blair.
Are you talking about the
Sorry,
um?
because they had no interest in
You
donating for
mentioned
the
at the
park.
last
Yeah,
meeting.
I read the text to you.
Yeah, I forgot the last name is all. So yes, I did speak with him and got very similar feedback. And at the same time, very much an interest in helping with the bridge.
Yeah.
We didn't talk any specific numbers, but essentially he made it clear that he was interested in helping the bridge. He saw that as an important thing rather than the bandstand. And that, and he even was open to cooperating with a donation campaign of trying to
Good.
reach other people to help the bridge.
And that'd be good too.
I can give you an update on the bridge as well once we're done with this.
Okay.
So, and I don't know, I think it's been since our last meeting. I went with Dave as his emotional support dog, and we met with Knife River for concrete, and it sounded like they would actually support that project, but
What project?
the community center.
Oh, okay.
So that was our one positive thing that happened from it. But
Well-
Dave did a great job selling it. And
The specific location that we have identified for that, with the hillside and everything and the trails that we have planned, it could be very much open to some sort of unsheltered plaza or amphitheater type space. That would be certainly cheaper, and it would be just the concrete essentially. So that's, as we discuss this, if there's not support for an overall bandstand, well, maybe we shrink the scope or change what we have in mind, but that's a possibility also.
Well, that's one of the things I was talking to Wally was maybe we need to back up and rethink what that is. Maybe it's a cultural arts center. I don't know. Maybe something that's more appealing that catches the public's how the structure is to be used or what that looks like. I know I went back and I told Dave that, we'd always look for other entities that would do the same bill. In other words, who else could put a bid on this building? Well, I just got a second one in from another company up by Portland, 118,000. So substantially more than what we had looked at. Same style, same type of structure and everything. But when they sent me the quote, I go, whoa, I had to tighten up on me that, it was even more of a challenge. So I'm not opposed to backing off and rethink this thing as a committee. How do we visualize this? And maybe look around other towns and that, what are they doing that's structure wise that is pulling people to the park?
So-
And then maybe taking the money that we have already acquired and just put it in a pot and reserve it for a future project, knowing that that's there. That's just, my 2 cents.
So my understanding from our last meeting was the funding that's previously present matched with the matching amount from the state provides us enough funds to put in the sidewalk up, all of the trails, the work done on the hillside, all that is capable of being done. That was previous to these recent donations. So, I wonder if we put in and I know we're going to talk about another possibility of some rock that we might be able to get donated to do the rock work, previous to the concrete. But do we go ahead and put it in the concrete, take the funds that we have and assemble the whole thing minus the actual physical structure? And like you said, that matches, then you have an amphitheater style seating. Does that, people walking by that look, then they go, hey, that'd be really nice if we had the structure that was there. Do they come back and go, that would be neat? And if the design, the basic design doesn't change, I mean, whether it's from that company or it's from Joe Buck on 57th that has his own construction business and builds us a pole building, basically, I'll call it, fancied. It would still take 8 support beams with a 30-inch concrete reinforced 4 feet down. Just put that in, and then it's ready to go to put a building on. I mean,
Interesting.
if Knife River was willing to support us with the concrete and we could get some rock included in with it, might be something that we currently have available to do and then could be used.
My main concern is mainly, does what you're putting in match what you might put in the future? That's always my biggest worry when it comes to multi-phased construction like that.
Yeah.
So, because if I'm building a concrete pad for an outdoor amphitheater that has no structure on it,
You
that's
don't
a
need
much
much.
different foundation, much different concrete than something that has to support the beams and the roof and all that.
Yeah.
But if it's designed right, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think all
Well, the thing
options are
about
on
a
the table.
concrete pad you put down the road, if you needed to, you can always make the cut, put the footings in, put the post back. I mean, you can,
True.
so I don't think we want to limit ourselves, but if it was like the bridge is Plaza 1 and this is Plaza 2, in a sense.
So it's just frustrating because all of us work hard. It's not like we're not out there pounding the pavement to try to get people on board. It's like, oh, okay, so. gotta
What do
go
you-
a
People vote
different
with their dollar, with their wallets as much as they vote with their ballots.
Yeah.
Probably more so, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Dave, what do you think about Knife River? Do you think they'd have any problem with that? If we're doing it for,
I don't think personally, I don't think they would care what they built it out of.
okay,
If they're gonna build something that's 26 by 40 or whatever I saw
Yeah.
from Bob, what difference would it make? Well, why don't we just, if we're gonna do that and we want to cover something, why don't we just put a great big patio thing that's wide open on the sides? I don't know. I'm just asking you. You guys are gonna have to make a decision here.
oh no, I was just curious,
Uh,
because you were at the meeting when we talked with
Yeah.
Knife River. Your thoughts.
Yeah,
based on that.
and I think they were pretty excited about it.
They were,
They really were.
yeah,
And Dominic says that he thinks they can do the other part of it, and I haven't talked to anybody about gravel yet, but
Right.
I will be.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, Dominic said they could do the concrete
Yeah.
forming,
Yeah.
in the prep
So-
work for it.
so what I would suggest at this point, I mean, this is obviously a big departure from the grant that we applied for and the previous plans. Certainly the grant can move forward without the bandstand. We talked about that.
Yeah.
If we're modifying it to be something different, there's a lot of kind of investigating and
Yeah.
and some kind of concepts that we can put together on the staff end. So I would suggest that that you continue your fundraising efforts, but have it as a blanket Sankey Park improvements, so that that funding could be directed toward anything that these improvements might involve,
Right.
while at the same time getting feedback from folks on what they would like to see in the park. And
Yeah.
we can kind of I can get with our with staff members and kind of put some ideas together of what this could look like if we did just concrete without a structure.
Yeah.
What might that be?
I don't think we want to miss the opportunity to use Knife River because they were, as Dave said, they were definitely motivated to
Yeah.
do that project.
And so maybe we can come up with a design for some sort of amphitheater type space that later could have a shelter added of some kind. And the thing that comes to mind is I've seen some where they have kind of an outdoor amphitheater, and then there are steel posts that have a cantilevered roof structure that they support
Yeah.
that just shades part of it.
Right.
And gives it that feel of protection from the elements a little bit, but it's not a full-on structure.
Right.
Well, in Roseburg, right on the river, they have, they have a hill and then it's around, or it's half like at the Hollywood, what's that?
Semicircle,
The Hollywood,
the bowl.
yeah, they have one like
Oh,
that
like a
too.
shell. kind
Yeah,
of
it's a
thing.
shell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, if you look at what Sisters Oregon did in the one park there, that was community funded, but it was just more of a wood structure with a sloped roof that was very simple and quick to put in.
But also I'm thinking of like the Riverside Park in Independence has a kind of an amphitheater space, but it's got no shelter at all. And they use that for movies in the park. They use that
Right.
for concerts during the summer and all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
It doesn't have any any shelter on it, but it seems to get used plenty without that.
Right.
Good.
So
Well, yeah, for me, the cost of just putting like one of those patio looking things, whatever you want to call it, it's wide open on the sides.
Yeah.
It would be substantially a lot less money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we could definitely have that be built in town without anybody else.
Yep.
So I don't know whether that's what you guys want to do. That's up to you. But we need to make a decision whether we're going to, if we want to go through to October or whatever, and then we still don't have enough money, then what are we going to do with the money that we have? We're going to have to find out if we're going to give it back to those folks.
Right.
And call them and ask them if they would want to keep it or let us keep it. That could be a little bit of work for the staff to do.
Yeah.
I'm okay with whatever you decide. I don't care.
I know that some of a lot of the donations that we've had, the form that they filled out, there were opportunities for them to check what they wanted the
Right.
money to
Yeah.
go specifically to. And the
Yeah.
top of it says Lower Sankey Park Phase 3 project donation / pledge form. And most people just checked the box at the top and didn't specify any particular improvements. And so for those folks, we're still doing the improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
I
don't
think,
necessarily have to give that, but if they went back and specifically checked bandstand, then we need to look into that and see and talk to them and see if they
Right.
want to
Yeah.
redirect
I
it
think if
elsewhere.
you add a few swing sets and, a few things that the community is screaming for.
They've already done the swing sets.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, whatever, something else. I don't know, music thing or whatever. And then just, do the cement and just, that'll be something we just keep working towards. I don't know.
I
My
want to go
opinion.
back to the grant. So getting that grant was pretty significant. So as I
Mhm.
understood it from, I think, our last meeting, we can scale it back. We can take away the structure and still, and you were saying this too, still have enough in the grant and enough matched to do the connecting trails and the shaping, the amphitheater shape on the hillside.
Yes.
We think so, yes.
Okay.
So I don't want to
Okay.
lose that aspect
Yeah.
because that sets us up for
Later project.
something later, and if you combine that with creating another open plaza feature right there by the amphitheater, then you're set up even more for, now people say, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a shelter over there? That will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Once you start to build it. But if we could really keep hold of that original grant to do all of the trail and feature work.
No, I agree with that.
I do,
Um,
I think so
I
too.
think that's huge.
And we could,
I agree.
we can always use the donations
Yeah,
as well.
Well, for me, Mr. Chair, if we built a big patio thing there, like Rice's used for their parties that they
Yeah.
had, it's just covered up, it's wide open.
Yep.
In my opinion, I think that that would be better than nothing,
I agree.
but, and the cost would be
Yeah.
this much instead of this much. So, I don't know. We'll just have to figure out. It's gonna be interesting when we put in the paper that, we're, or whatever, and then the people that wanted a bandstand.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, whoa, wait a minute here.
That
I
might
don't
not be
know.
a bad thing, Dave. That negative might be the positive. though.
Yeah,
It
so,
might
yeah.
regenerate some interest to step up
Anyway.
to that, as,
We've got until October.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
possible.
That's my favorite thing to do with folks who complain about us not doing something is we could say, well, this is what happens.
Just-
Yeah, yeah.
You're welcome to tell us different and put your money where your mouth is.
Well, I know, we wanted to see, we were trying to duplicate an existing structure.
Yep.
And that's okay. I mean, that was our dream, but when you go back to the bridge is a covered structure that's underutilized.
Yeah.
And if you put your efforts into that, that's a pretty good structure to have for
It is.
weddings and family reunions. We don't probably utilize that to the degree it could be if it was in good shape and taken care of.
I'd like to increase that. And I can give you an update on the bridge if you'd like to move into that.
Yeah, just the last thing, if we get desperate for a cover, there's a portable backstop at the baseball field being covered in blue tarps. Set it right up there and it would fit right in.
Good to know.
So
Yeah.
just saying,
Blue tarp's my favorite.
yeah,
We have gray.
On to
So
the bridge.
on the bridge, we've identified some existing budget that we're gonna try and direct toward the bridge. We put out recently a request for proposals. Hopefully we will hear from contractors who can do some work on the bridge. I did talk to a firm that has been recommended by Lynn County and others as being the people to work on things. These are kind of specialized structures, and so there is some wiggle room with our regular procurement rules that that would give us more freedom because of how specialized this particular work is. However, the person I talked to essentially said, yeah, in the inspection report, all of the costs that were called out are quite low. It's not surprising. So they're saying it's going to cost more to do the work, but also their availability is more along the lines of late summer. And so we're scrambling, trying to get what attention we can and find who we can have work on it sooner than that.
Yeah.
Because as things stand, it's not usable during the Jamboree. And the structure, the bridges that the Jamboree put in last year to get people across, those we can't have that happen again. They were not done appropriately for that stream. It's a protected stream.
yeah,
They drilled down too close to the stream itself, and there was a support in the middle that was directly affecting the water. So unfortunately, it's one of those things where, yeah, we did this to mitigate the Weddell Bridge, but then what was done is something we could get in trouble for with the state. So we're trying to find that balance of what can be done that's safe, and we'll keep on plugging away at it. But I am a bit worried because we just don't have. It's a special structure that is not quick to repair.
so do the Jamboree folks have any interest in supporting that project since it directly affects them?
So it's been a while since I've talked with the Jamboree about this. They want the bridge functional.
Yeah,
And they've indicated that they're willing to help with fundraising efforts and other things. I haven't seen any large amounts of money from that.
Yeah.
But they have talked about how it's important to them.
I guess in my mind, I would think whatever it cost them to put in that temporary bridge, they would be willing to at least expense that amount off to.
Sure. But it's I think right now it's not necessarily a question of the money. It's a question of having
Oh.
the specialists who can work on it
Right.
soon enough for it to be ready for Jamboree.
Sure. Okay. Okay,
That's what I got on that.
thank you. Any others?
I have one.
Hold on.
No, go with Deb first.
Okay, go ahead, Deb. We just missed you raising your hand. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a completely different subject. Are we good to move on?
Yep,
Ivy pool.
we talked about it already.
Did ya?
So I'll tell you
I missed
again.
The days that was wet, so, what I propose is that we get a couple people, I'd like them to walk along 16th Avenue up here at the top and, see which trees are really alive and being threatened by the ivy and which ones are dead being threatened by the ivy. That will give us a better perspective of what we have ahead of us. I think a lot of them are died.
Yeah,
You know, half of them are probably dead, got ivy covered on.
Something we could do.
It is something we can do.
Yeah, Lena and I say that's a good idea.
Well,
I
let's-
live right here, so whenever you're ready. It'll take us
Sure.
10 minutes to walk that area.
Okay,
Let's do it in April. Things are leaking. It's dead.
louder.
She
Oh,
said
sorry.
April.
I'm thinking
Well, that's not too far away.
April, Deb, so we can determine if they're hardwood trees, they'll start leafing out. We can see what's actually
Okay.
alive and dead.
I'm with you, Lena.
Okay.
Maybe around Arbor Day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
since we'll be walking around there then.
Well, we could do it after. the meeting.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yep, or the
Want to
17th we'll
get
be
that on
out
the
there.
agenda.
Okay. And you're
Oh,
next.
So back to the Arbor Day event, we talked, we're gonna have the Frisbee golf course, disc golf course. Public Works has a cornhole set. Does anybody have one of those really cool big Jenga yard sets? Do you know what you know what Jenga is? Well, they make them like,
Make them out of 2x4s.
yeah, the 2x4s to play outside.
You just make
Sure.
them. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I'll ask Robert, I will ask the Jamboree, because once in a while in one of their beer gardens, they have them, they're made out of 2x4s. And people are doing that.
Hmm.
And they have that big thing too, where you put the disc in. And I'll what they're called. Whoops.
Oh, Connect Four?
Yeah. They have one
Okay.
of those great big things.
Oh, that'd be kind of, I'm thinking more, a few more yard games.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
For
is
our
our game.
event, and I've done the outdoor Jenga and it's just a blast.
Yeah, yeah. As
So,
long as they're sanded down to be.
yeah, that's the thing. If somebody was to make them, we gotta make sure there's no splinters, but I just wondered if anybody knew anybody.
I
better.
I can ask,
Oh.
I'll ask Peggy at the Jamboree, because I have to go in there on Friday anyway.
You wanna, yeah, if you wanna check
Yeah.
on that. Cause I don't know how popular things like croquet or still are anymore, or,
Long darts.
oh God.
Nail some kid in the head.
I think
Just give out javelins for people to throw. So,
Anyway.
Try to be safer, Blair.
So thinking about our advertising, we're gonna plant a tree, we're gonna have an Arbor Day tree, we're gonna have food, snacks, we're gonna be in the park, we're gonna have disc golf for kids and adults, yard games, so that could be kind of our theme, kind of a game day in the park or
Mhm.
something.
Or kid to park day
Yeah,
along with Arbor
yeah.
Day. Yeah, that's great.
And I
Because
like
that's
that, focus on the kids.
yeah, because the kid to park reminder came up on my calendar between this and last meeting.
Yeah.
And they have a specific day for it, but I think Sweet Home, we can make our own day. And we could make it the same as Arbor Day and apply these projects.
Yeah.
For the kids to play in the park.
So do you
So-
guys make the flyer? City makes the flyer?
yeah, yeah, I mean, we can. And
Yeah.
we have in the past, so it's mainly just having the details of things that you want to push.
And I'll
Uh,
volunteer to walk around town and put some of them up, the
Were
flyers.
you gonna
Sure.
give them kind of?
I'll volunteer actually in person.
Yeah.
We talked
Yeah.
before you arrived, we talked about the communication effort, and so, yeah, just send me and Diane, might as well copy on Angela,
Yeah.
the details on the specific events or games or things that you want to make sure are highlighted in the materials, and we'll get those
I like the
together.
theme Kid to Park Day.
Yeah, so if anybody gets something extra between now and next week, could you send it to me? I'm gonna be gone.
Where are you going?
I think Mexico. I going on a mission trip.
Yeah, right.
No, I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Not
Was
going
that
down
even on
to
Friday?
Planet
Yeah.
Hollywood?
I think my daughter's going with
He's
me.
on a
Is
mission.
she?
You can say what kind of mission, he's just on a mission.
His place
It's
is
with
right
Community
next to my
Chapel and
Yeah.
son's
yeah,
place
yeah.
up in Mexico.
Keep an eye on her for me, Wade.
I got a whole bunch of them. I was told that. Oh, and there was a few adults I was told to do that with
So
also.
I'm worried more about the adults than I am about my
Yeah,
daughter.
keep an eye on that person. So, yeah, no, I volunteered to drive down. And then they said, oh, good, could you drive your truck and pull the luggage trailer?
Oh, my gosh.
You're gonna
And I
drive
said,
to
sure.
Mexico?
Yeah,
Oh, so what, just California across the border? or-
yeah, it's like, it's hour and a half into Mexico. So,
That's cool. We used to do that.
Watch the games.
Yeah.
I don't,
Sure
no,
we
it's
do that,
St.
but we lived in
Angela,
California at
something, the long name, near Ensenada. That's all I know. Yeah. So
Wow.
I think I'll have internet, so if you send me stuff, I'll still be able to,
You watch it.
yeah.
Let's just blast it down there for him the whole time.
Every day.
Every day, just
Everybody said at least 1 to 5.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
any others? I'm gonna propose that we have a meeting, third of April,
Third
a work group.
day,
No, April 3rd.
April 3rd.
Yep. At 8:30. And this won't take long. This should be a short meeting, but we'll actually be together here then and we can talk and cover anything that we need to do for Arbor Day, last minute coordinations, because I don't want to wait until 3 days beforehand and then go, oh crap.
It's 8:30.
Yeah,
I just remembered one thing that I'd like to get on the record. As you know, we contacted each of you about the Community Foundation grants.
yeah,
And we did end up putting together two applications, one for Weddell Bridge and one for the bandstand. So we based on our feedback from your emails, we went ahead and put those in.
good.
I would appreciate, I guess, at least a formal vote on authorizing those
Yeah,
applications. Even though it's after the fact, it's good to at least have something on the record. So
sure. I'll do a vote.
if you wouldn't mind,
Yeah.
we'd appreciate a vote of support on that.
Okay, so I want to have a vote if you think it's a good idea to put in 2 applications, one for the Weddell Bridge, one for the community center bandstand. Matthew,
I support the application.
Lena,
I support.
Bob,
Aye.
Yes.
Nancy, Deb,
I
and I agree as well.
We appreciate that. Those are in and done, and we appreciate Angela's hard work on those.
Yep,
She was
I
very
agree.
forceful.
Thank you.
Sure.
And since it is 15 seconds before 10 and there's people standing in the hallway waiting to start their meeting, I will call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brett.
see you on the 3rd.
Yeah. The 3rd
Bye-bye.
at